recording you.
Yes.
So I spent a month, actually, because he tired easily, and I interviewed him for about 2 to 3 hours on his whole life story.
Right, so you did
which
15
is amazing.
minutes or 20 minutes
I
a day.
could not get anybody to fund putting that together into a document.
Amazing.
And I still have the footage.
So why don't you publish it on YouTube and give it to the world? I'm going to try to put everything I have in public domain when I die, because maybe you have children that will need the money or need what you've created, but if you don't have any children in need, give away your interview with John Kenneth Galbraith.
I have 2 excerpts on it. Maybe I'll show it when I do my talk. I published an electronic book.
Right.
And I have 2 excerpts of Ken.
Oh,
and
that's
one
right.
of
I saw
one of
one of
them
the
is
chapters online.
and one's very funny. I asked him how he got to Harvard, and he tells us how. And another one, I think the other excerpt is when Kennedy appointed him ambassador to. No, it's it's when Kennedy met. Henry Luce. And I won't tell you the story, but I'll try and show it.
Right.
What Luce said to Kennedy about Galbraith. It's very funny.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But you also worked for the Chinese and Japanese governments, right?
I was a consultant to the Japanese government for 20 years, helping them inform America about Japan.
Right.
I produced documentaries, and I took some of the Japanese films and had them put on the air. I had worked at PBS, so I knew all the program managers at PBS. So I've had an interesting life so far.
Yeah, and understanding Japan was vitally important in the 1980s. It's still important. I mean, look what's happening now between Japan and China. So Japan and China are intruding a little bit more every day into the news if you're watching geopolitics.
Right.
I watch NHK. The NHK News. It's on 132 at 5 o'clock, 5 to 5:30. I love the BBC also.
Well, the BBC has some of the best news on the air.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm watching Al Jazeera these days, but
I'll let you know that I'm going to miss Ross Perot on C-SPAN tonight, telling us what's going to happen in this fall. I'm really curious. I'm going to have to look it up online now, but I couldn't resist coming to meet you.
I can't wait, thank you. I can't wait for the debates. They should be such fun.
well, you know, the positioning started with a friend of mine, James Fallows at The Atlantic, doing a story a month ago about what an amazing, terrific, fantastic debater Mitt Romney is. So that
Speaks very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. He's very articulate, and he looks so good. He's such a handsome guy.
But he has no content. He manages to sound eloquent, but he's either scripted or memorized. I mean, I think Obama's going to obliterate him.
But he has one edge, and that is he keeps his cool under fire. And not only does he keep his cool, he makes little jokes. He says little humorous things at moments that would crack anybody else's surface.
Romney?
Yeah. He was doing this in the debates before the
Remember,
primaries.
he has another big advantage.
Yeah.
Romney is actually an American citizen, not a Muslim.
Well, that's
not a Muslim flying implant.
There are 2 pictures in the current Time magazine. There's a picture of Romney and his family, which is enormous, you know, like 30 or 40 children and grandkids. And then above that is a picture of, I think it's his great uncle.
Yeah.
And there must be 400 descendants. He had 3 wives.
Yeah.
And
a polygamist.
Oh yeah. And this was in the 1800s. And he had 3 wives and maybe 50 children. And each, you know.
Can you imagine what if he was the Democratic nominee, what the religious right would be saying about the progeny of a polygamist running to be president of the United States? Could you imagine how they would phrase it all?
Oh, it's amazing.
He would not even be an American either.
How did you get the hookup with China?
I read in the paper. I went to Harvard, but I didn't know either Reischauer or Fairbank or Galbraith when I was a student. It was an undergraduate a long time ago.
Right.
I read in the Times, I think it was 1963 or 4, soon after the Shanghai Communique.
Right.
I read in the Times that Fairbank was going to give an alumni college on China.
Right.
And China, of course, you know, if you have any brains at all, you have to be interested.
Right.
So I wrote to him, I never knew him, and I said, dear sir, I do documentaries, and this was in the days of audio was very important.
Right.
And I'd like to come and record your lectures. I think they would be of interest. He wrote back and said, I'm not interested.
Amazing.
And about a week before he was due to do it, I got a phone call from a guy named Peter Schultz, who was a classmate of mine at Harvard, who was the director of Harvard Alumni Association, and he said, Fairbank would like to reconsider. Could you come and meet with him?
Right.
Well, the next day I was in Cambridge, and he said, you're going to have lights all over the place. I said, no, sir, I'm going to put a little lavalier mic on your lapel and sit in a corner and record what you say.
Right.
Long story short, he lectured for 2 weeks, and instead of just lecturing, his first lecture, he brought a brown Gladstone bag into the auditorium, and a guy from Harvard's AV department came and opened up 150 glass slides, old-fashioned glass slides.
Wow.
I thought, my God, if anybody ever dropped that bag.
Right.
He had collected the most amazing collection of still images that went back to the beginning of photography.
Amazing.
And I saw that, and I said, my God, I said, you know.
What age would that be? What would the oldest be? 1870s?
No, like 1830s and 40s
really?
when photography first began. Hi, how are you?